Welcome to the Shipping Podcast, where I meet interesting maritime professionals sharing their passion for the shipping industry and their everyday job. I am your host. My name is Lena Gothberg. Hello, Shipping Podcast lovers, and welcome to the 85th episode of the Shipping Podcast. As you can hear, I got a cold, but that doesn't stop me from bringing you this episode, where you are going to meet Ingrid Due Gundersen, Chief of Finance at Hoegh Autoliners in Oslo. Ingrid is one of the 10 women to watch for the future, where you have listened to 5 ladies before this interview. So Ingrid is the 6th and the last one that I was able to do when I was in Oslo in October. We met on October the 24th, and this is our chat. Welcome to the Shipping Podcast. Could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Ingrid Due Gundersen. I work for Hoegh Autoliners as a head of finance.
How did you come in contact with shipping?
I think it was actually a coincidence. I had heard about it in a positive way. When I was studying, I was looking for a summer internship. Then I ended up applying for a job in Hoegh Fleet Services. So then, as soon as I got the job, I was actually quite happy with it, and I've stayed in the business ever since.
So what did you study?
I studied economics and finance.
Okay. And Hoegh is a ship-owning company.
Hoegh is a ship-owning company and has been in the business for 90 years now. So it's one of these old traditional Norwegian companies.
So it's family-owned, or?
It's family-owned together with it's the Hoegh family together with Maersk.
I see. And you usually transport cars, or?
Yes.
It's car carrier?
Cars, yes, cars and high and heavy and break bulk and anything that can roll or be sort of transported inside a vessel.
So what do you do every day? I mean, ship finance, is that 365 days a year?
That's a good question. I think most of my time comes to sort of following up towards our banks. We have 10 banks in our loan syndicate, so it comes to following up on that. We also have all of the financial analysis internally in the company, and the budgeting process is reporting to me, or the person responsible for that is reporting to me. And in addition, we have the cash management. We have almost $1 billion coming in freight collections every year, which goes through the company's accounts. So it's a little bit to follow up on that as well.
Can we talk a little bit about financing a ship? I mean, not a lot of people knows about that, but the ship is the asset.
The ship is the asset, and it is, of course, very cost intensive. This vessel the car carriers can cost now between maybe $60 and $70 million for one of these large vessels. So you need to have some sort of financing in place when you order it, or just to sort of give the company some working capital throughout. So the way that we have organized it is that we have a pool of vessels, and then we have one corporate large facility which is financing these vessels or has security in these vessels. So we have a financing of mostly European banks, which has been sort of, several of them have been close relations with the company for a long time.
Is there a lot of capital? I mean, if we talk globally, is there a lot of capital going into the shipping industry?
It is quite a lot of capital, but it has changed definitely from being sort of a market where you can get bank debt quite easily. It is now more leasing companies, you have hedge funds, you have just international investors wanting to place their money to get some yield. So, and especially in the Asian market, you see that there's a lot of money coming in cheaper than before.
I see. So they are not that familiar with the maritime industry as an industry?
Not in the same way. No, they have, in Japan, of course, shipping has been big for a long time. But if you look at in China, there's a lot of money that would like to sort of start earning some yield. And you see that there are quite a few leasing companies approaching shipping to sort of be a part of the whole industry.
Yeah, because I think The shipping banks that I have met, there are a lot of people who knows a lot about shipping, because otherwise you can't really lend money to the shipping company if you don't know what they're doing in their businesses.
Definitely. Within our banks, we have people that have been working, who has had sort of personal relations or has been working towards the company for 30, 40 years. So there's a lot of knowledge there. So that has definitely changed a little bit now when you have more of the Asian banks coming in, or American investors or similar.
It's interesting because I don't think I have asked those questions to anyone before, but it's interesting because it's so close, and it's also a job you can have if you enter this industry. You can be working for a bank. Still, you have to know a lot about shipping, or you can be working for a shipping company. So it's.
And there's so many, and that is a very good thing in Norway. You're starting, or you have had for a long time as well. You've had several companies working, or different industries working in towards shipping. So you have the insurance companies, you have banking industry, you have the ship owners, you have the tonnage providers who owns just the steel and charter it out again. You have so many different sort of varieties of companies where you could work and actually work in shipping.
Yeah, we don't have that in Sweden. Yeah, we do a little bit, but not that much. Talking about financing, what about the new startups and the new digitalized companies coming into the industry, which is not a ship-owning company as you are working for? What do you think about that? Are the financing people interested in financing those kind of ventures as well, or is that different places where you find capital for that?
I'm actually not sure where they would go and get financing, because I think it would be more challenging for them to get now in the regular bank debt market.
Yeah, in a way, because maybe the startup doesn't know much about the maritime, but the banks knows a lot about maritime, so maybe they should be, I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, I think what has changed now is that the banks are very sort of reluctant to taking any risk. So I would assume that it would be harder to sort of be a startup and actually achieve financing. Maybe easier with sort of investors coming in on the side than actually a regular bank debt. But I'm not that familiar on how the banks think about this and how their approach is towards this.
I will have to go and see a bank and talk to them about that. Yeah, that was just a thought in my head that popped out. You were one of the 10 women to watch on the 10 Women to Watch list.
Yes.
How did you feel about that?
It's a little bit mixed emotions. Of course, it is. It's very nice, and it's an honor when you get that award. On the other hand, it's of course a little bit outside the comfort zone to be exposed. I've been working for a private company the whole time, and it is different. But I'm very sort of fond of the initiative. I think it was very good. I think it's important, definitely, in an industry where the majority is men. I think it's important to show the young women coming that it is actually possible to work in the industry, even when you're older and when you're a mother and you have kids, and that it's actually possible to work here.
Did you get any reactions from your employer?
I did. I think I only got positive feedback, and it was very nice to get some sort of appreciation.
Yeah, I think it's such a good initiative. And women need the visibility, because there are hardly any women, you hardly see any women when you attend conferences or meetings or whatever. Have you ever felt that you are working in a male environment? Have you ever felt like?
Yeah, I feel that all the time. I think in ship financing, within the banks, you have quite a few women, but in a lot of in the social settings, you end up meeting a lot of men. So several times I've had dinners, etc., where there are 40 men and 1 woman present, and it is. I'm getting quite used to it, but it would, of course, be nice to have more women there.
Yeah, I think it was a different story when I was 30 years old. That was a harder setting then, but we all have to go through it and walk our way upwards on our career stairs, but it's easier when I am so old now, so I don't even see it. I don't even notice it, that there are only men, because I'm so used to it.
Yeah,
but my friends, they say to me, "You are so different as a woman." I had probably been molded into something which I wouldn't have been if I wouldn't have worked in this industry. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I would never ever swap to have another industry. Do you have the bug as well?
Yeah, I have. I love this industry. I find it so interesting. It's everything from being international. There's so many interesting personalities you meet along the way. People have been working in the industries for 50 years, I think it's a very good community, at least both in shipping and also ship financing, where I'm a part of it. And it ends up being your colleagues outside of sort of your own company, but I think it's a very good place to work, and you get to see a lot of interesting places, meet a lot of interesting people, and do a lot of interesting jobs. So I am very fond of it. I'm not going to say never, but I don't think I'm going to leave the shipping industry in the short time.
No. So how do you see the shipping industry going forward in the future in general?
I think there are definitely some challenges when it comes to more regulations and the environmental focus. On the other hand, I think it's important to remember what shipping has done for the global societies. It has created wealth in a lot of areas where it would not have been possible to sort of invest or to have goods transported. So I think this has been very important. But of course, going forward, it is an industry that has to think about, especially on the environmental basis, to adapt to new regulations, to actually look into innovation on how we can do things better and in a more efficient way. We also have, of course, in our industry, the car carrying industry, it is challenges when it comes to change of production plans. You move production from one area to another. You have change in tariffs among different countries, which will affect the trading network, etc. But on the other hand, there are quite a few people who still need the goods, whether that is cars or other goods being transported on sea. So I don't think it's the death of shipping yet, but it is. We have to adapt and look into the market and see what we can do to sort of follow the developments.
So what about the Industry Revolution 4.0? I mean, the digitalization.
Yeah, I think there will definitely be a lot of things changing when it comes to the ships. When you talk about autonomous vessels, but it's still some way to go, because there's a lot of things happening on board a vessel which is still manual work, and so there's a lot of changes that needs to be done. But there will be changes, and the companies, both the ship owning companies and suppliers, etc., will need to adapt to that.
Yeah, I think digitalization will mean that we have to become more transparent. And yeah, I don't know. Some ship owning companies think, no, we don't want to become more transparent, and other things, yeah. So I think that is a challenge, and that is a mindset that needs to be changed, maybe as an entire industry. That if we want to be part of the future, maybe we need to change some really old settings or things that we believe in, or the industry as such.
And I think we are sort of at the tipping point there, where you see that even the traditional companies, such as Hoegh, which has been sort of a very traditional old shipping company, but I think there are changes going on. The mindset is changing a little bit. You have sort of a new generation coming with new ideas, being a little bit more, I would say, crazy in the way of thinking compared to what it has been before. So I think there are a lot of changes that's gonna happen now over the next years.
Yeah, and another thing that will push us forward in a way, I think it's generation change right now, because you know, of all people about the bad times that we've been through since 2008. And I think in the old days, people used to work and work and work, and they became 75 and 80 and so on before they left or before they ended. But now they can't really see the light in the tunnel, so maybe they are retiring when they are 65, 70, which means there is a huge gap between those people and the young people, and there are not that many in between because we haven't recruited a lot. So I think the change will happen quicker.
I think so as well. When you get sort of new people in, I'm not representative of the new people because I've been with the company for 15 years, but it's still sort of, I think you see it as soon as you have some young sort of fresh minds coming in and thinking in another way. And people, especially when you're going to get people who grew up with, Facebook or social media, etc., from already when they were young, they're likely going to sort of look at shipping in a different way than what the traditional sort of generation.
And if the traditional generation has retired, they aren't there to say, no, we tried that before.
And, it's easy to say, well, it's worked the way we're doing it, or it is working the way we're doing it, so let's continue doing it this way. So
I agree.
But I think there will be things changing, and when it comes to this digitalization, and they will be more sort of modern in the way of thinking.
Yeah, and also the new stuff coming into the market, like coming into our industry, like I'm thinking about 3D printing, that will have an effect on us, and blockchain, and all of that. And I am so amazed because all the people that I have spoken to that knows a lot about that are women, 35. So they will be bringing that competence into our market, and then in a way it will be gender neutral, I think.
Yeah. And I think in several areas you can see that actually women has, I'm not going to say taken over, but if you look at within the lawyers, I think in the universities, there's a huge percentage of women actually taking law studies now. And you see that also in the shipping industry, that there's a lot of women coming in and taking positions which has previously been done by men.
Yeah, but also what people are talking about now is the new way of working is more like, I think women are better at building networks, and that is a way, knowledge sharing is what is the hot thing now, share knowledge. And that is what you do when you're in a network. And we are a little bit better at building networks and sharing our knowledge with each other, which means maybe now there is a momentum for us to become more influential. I don't know. It's the same in every industry, but especially when we work in the mail industry.
Yeah, and I think at least we've understood that we need to do some networking to sort of realize or to stay a little bit together and motivate each other. Because I think there's a lot of people working who feel a little bit sort of alone in their own position, but when you meet each other, then you actually can share experiences and discuss and motivate each other.
Did you ever have a role model growing up?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Neither did I. So
No, not really. And when it comes to women, there hasn't been that many sort of women to look up to, but in this industry. But there are, of course, a few people that that I see and that I'm impressed of, and I think I've done. If you look at Birgitte Vartdal in Golden Ocean, she's done a really good job, and it's. I think also, Liv Hege Dyrnes in Klaveness, she became CFO last year. I think it's really, really good, and it motivates to see how people develop.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself as a role model now?
I would say no, but I guess I should say yes, because hopefully I am and will be a role model for younger people coming up. It's of course a little bit hard to see myself as one.
Yeah. The shipping industry is sometimes looked upon as the Cinderella industry. No one knows about us. How could we become more visible?
I think that would start at universities and being present, showing sort of that it's a place to work and it is that you have possibilities within the industry, and just letting people know how it's sort of how you can do a career within the industry. Because if you look in Norway, the shipping industry is very well known. If you talk to my parents or friends of my parents, they all know someone who's been working in shipping, and everybody has sort of a relationship to someone who has been in the shipping industry. And I think it has also sort of has a good reputation of working in shipping. But I think that is a challenge in a lot of different countries. They've hardly known about it or heard about it before.
Is it easy for you to recruit as a company?
I wouldn't say so, no. It depends a little bit when it comes to what kind of positions. But if you look at more sort of highly skilled, not economics or finance people or etc., I think it's more difficult to find people with experience.
Because I think that, we are going to need the best talent that's out there. So we will be competing with the IT industry, the building industry, the whatever industry in the future. So if they don't know about us, will they really find us then? Because we will need people, not only people that has been at sea, but we will also need other competences, as you say, finance people and...
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know about sort of the shipping industry in total, and maybe for the new generation it has sort of a bad vibe because of all of the media about pollution, etc. While the old generation has sort of a positive thinking of shipping. The new is, I think, it's important to put a little bit focus on actually the positive things with shipping as well. That it's not only rich men earning more money. It is actually an important job that is being done, and it is important for the global society.
And because, we also need to get the politicians to know about shipping, because they are taking decisions that will influence us. And we can contribute. We contribute very much to society, but no one knows about that either, which means, that is why I asked the question, because I think we need to become more visible and show ourselves, because no one will talk about us otherwise if we don't do it ourselves. If you talk to a journalist, they will say, well, I never write about a building that is not on fire. So they will not write about shipping as an industry. They will only write about the bad things when there is a casualty or oil spill or something like that. So I think maybe we need to do something ourselves.
Yeah, to sell sort of the industry outside.
Yeah, we have a tendency to talk to each other because we love our industry so much. And we talk to each other. Wherever we meet, we talk to each other. Oh, shipping like this and that and so on. But who do we speak to outside?
Yeah, probably not that many.
No.
Except our friends.
Yeah, and they look upon us like, okay. So, and that was also one of the purposes why I started my podcast and put it on iTunes, because then anyone can listen and download it. And we need to get the discussion going. It's the same, maybe I shouldn't be, but the newspapers writing about us, they are in the industry and they are writing about the industry from the inside. And we subscribe to them. And then we complain that no one from the outside knows anything about us. So where will they find any information about us besides the bad stuff that's on the front page on a newspaper? There is a story to tell. We do so much good. And so much of the cargo is carried on a keel from one time to another. Sorry, I got a bit carried away. So who would you be interested in listening to in a podcast? Who should I meet the next, do you think?
I think, of course, the other women or ladies that was top 10 to watch. I think also Birgitte Vartdal, who has been a great personality and important in the shipping industry. I think there's probably a lot of CEOs out there who could say some interesting words about how it is in shipping, and especially on a sort of informal basis, not only through newspapers, as you said. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I would be interested in listening to someone who's third or fourth generation of a ship owning company, because that is also, it's something that we wouldn't understand, how that is, how that feeling is when you know that one day you're gonna take over the company. Yeah. Okay, I will see what I can do.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Ingrid. It was interesting to hear a little bit about ship financing, something we haven't really discussed in this podcast before. But I'm sure we can find some time to return to that subject, because I think it's very interesting. Since the interview, I got an email from Ingrid confirming that she has been promoted. She's now the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of Hoegh Autoliners. And I can only say congratulations. Of course, you're one of the 10 women to watch for the future. I bagged a lot of interviews for you last week, and that's probably where I lost my voice. So I think I will leave you and love you. If you want to support my work, please visit patreon.com/shippingpodcast. That is where you do your financial support. Otherwise, I will just be happy if you tweet or comment or write a review on iTunes. It helps me a lot, and it helps this podcast to grow and for more people to listen to it. So, from me to you, over and out. Thank you for listening to the Shipping Podcast. Don't forget to tell everyone that you meet that there is a shipping podcast available and that they should download it and listen to the maritime professionals who are sharing their passion for the shipping industry.